Jamal Kendrick settles into first class on Apex Airlines Flight 392, Miami to New York. His laptop open to Nexus Corps' latest software update. Security bursts in, yanking him from his seat as Douglas Wentworth smirks, claiming Jamal looked threatening. Passengers gawk. A teen records it. In the terminal, Jamal finds a scrawled note in his jacket. "Speak, and you're dead." He dials a number, voice like steel. "Pull all 4 billion. Today." Before we dive in, where are you watching from? If you stand for justice, hit like and subscribe for more gripping stories. What will Jamal's call unleash? Jamal Kendrick's penthouse perched 30 stories above Miami's glittering skyline, its floor-to-ceiling windows reflecting the city's pulsing neon lights. The humid night air clung to his skin as he stood on the balcony, phone pressed to his ear. The scrawled note from the airport still crumpled in his pocket. "Speak, and you're dead." His call to pull $4 billion from Apex Airlines had been a reflex, a spark of rage. But now, he needed a plan. The viral video of his ejection from Flight 392 played on his tablet, looping silently. Security dragging him down the aisle. Douglas Wentworth's smug grin, the teen's shaky footage capturing every humiliating second. Hashtags like "Flying While Black" and "Justice for Jamal" trended on social media, amassing 3 million views in 6 hours. Jamal's jaw tightened. This wasn't just about him. Apex had to pay for more than one man's disgrace. He retreated to his study, a minimalist space with sleek oak shelves and a single framed photo of his mother, her smile warm against the sterile backdrop of a hospital bed. She'd taught him to fight smart, not just hard. Jamal powered up his laptop, Nexus Corps' logo glowing on the screen. As CEO, he controlled the navigation software that kept Apex's planes aloft and $4 billion in their investment portfolio. If they thought he'd slink away, they were dead wrong. He opened a secure database, fingers flying over the keyboard, searching for patterns in Apex's passenger removals. Reports surfaced. A black lawyer ousted from first class in Dallas, a black doctor accused of suspicious behavior in Chicago, a black student removed for arguing in Seattle. Each case mirrored his own. Vague complaints, no evidence, always targeting black passengers. The numbers didn't lie. Apex had removed black travelers at 10 times the rate of white ones over 5 years. Jamal leaned back, pulse quickening. This was systemic, a policy buried deep. His phone buzzed, an unknown number flashing. He hesitated, the note's warning echoing in his mind, but answered. A woman's voice, low and urgent, cut through the static. "Mr. Kendrick, I'm Tasha Monroe. I used to work for Apex." "What happened to you wasn't random. They've got a secret profiling system and I can help you prove it." Jamal's grip tightened on the phone. Tasha explained she'd been a flight attendant for 7 years until she was fired for questioning passenger removals. "They called it priority passenger checks," she said. "It's code for targeting black folks, especially in first class. I've got names, dates, but we need to meet. Somewhere safe." Jamal agreed, arranging a rendezvous at a quiet coffee shop in Coconut Grove, 5 miles from downtown. He felt a surge of hope, a sense of gaining ground. If Tasha's intel was solid, he could expose Apex's rot and turn the public's outrage into a weapon. The next morning, Jamal drove his understated black sedan through Miami's palm-lined streets, the sun glaring off the asphalt. The coffee shop was a cozy nook, its wooden tables half empty. Tasha sat in the corner, a 32-year-old black woman with sharp eyes and a faded Apex pin on her backpack. She slid a USB drive across the table. "Emails, training manuals, internal memos," she whispered. "They taught us to flag urban attire or aggressive postures in premium cabins. It's all coded racism." Jamal plugged the drive into his tablet, scanning documents. One memo from a senior executive stood out. "Ensure PPC protocols reduce complaints from high-value clients." High-value clients. Like Douglas Wentworth, the real estate tycoon who'd fingered Jamal on the plane. Jamal's stomach churned. He was closing in on the truth, and it felt like victory. Back at his penthouse, Jamal compiled the data, cross-referencing Tasha's files with his findings. He drafted an email to Elena Cruz, a journalist at the Miami Herald known for fearless exposés. If anyone could amplify this, she could. He attached the video, Tasha's documents and his analysis, hitting send just as the sun dipped below the horizon. The city's lights flickered on, casting long shadows across his living room. Jamal paced, adrenaline pumping. He imagined Apex's board scrambling, their stock wobbling as the story broke. He checked his phone. Elena had replied, "This is dynamite. Give me 12 hours." Jamal exhaled, a rare smile tugging at his lips. He was gaining traction, turning Apex's own secrets against them. That night, sleep eluded him. He sat at his desk, the note from the airport now pinned to a corkboard, its jagged handwriting taunting him. Who'd slipped it into his jacket? A security guard? A passenger? The thought gnawed at him, but he pushed it aside, focusing on the fight ahead. Around 2 in the morning, his phone pinged with a news alert. Elena's article was live. Apex Airlines accused of systemic racism in passenger removals. It detailed the profiling system, quoting Tasha anonymously and linking to the viral video. Social media exploded, with boycott calls trending. Jamal scrolled through posts, heart pounding. Apex's stock had already dipped 5% in after-hours trading. He'd struck a blow, and it felt good. But the euphoria didn't last. At 3 in the morning, a crash shattered the silence. Jamal bolted upright, grabbing a baseball bat from his closet. The sound came from his office, 2 floors below in the Nexus Corps headquarters. He took the private elevator, its hum barely, masking his racing pulse. The office doors were ajar, glass shards glittering on the marble floor. Inside, chaos reigned. Computers lay in pieces, monitors cracked, servers gutted. Spray painted across the walls in blood-red letters. "Go back to where you came from." Jamal's breath caught, rage and fear colliding. His life's work, his company's heart, reduced to rubble. He scanned the room, spotting a security camera dangling by its wires, disabled. This wasn't random. This was Apex hitting back. He called his head of security, Marcus, who arrived within 20 minutes, a burly man with a shaved head and a no-nonsense glare. "Professionals did this," Marcus said, examining the wreckage. "No fingerprints, no footage. They knew exactly where to hit." Jamal's mind raced to Lillian Mercer, Apex's CEO. Her reputation for ruthlessness preceded her. Rumors of silenced whistleblowers, buried lawsuits. She'd seen the article, felt the heat, and struck first. Jamal's phone vibrated, a blocked number. He answered, bracing himself. A distorted voice rasped through the speaker. "Drop it, or your brother's next." The line went dead. Jamal's knees buckled. Malik, his 25-year-old brother, was a law student at the University of Miami, living in a modest apartment 10 miles away. Jamal pictured his lanky frame, his quick laugh, his dog-eared textbooks. The thought of Malik, in danger, twisted a knife in his gut. He dialed Malik's number, relief flooding him when his brother answered, groggy but unharmed. "Pack a bag," Jamal said. "I'm sending Marcus to get you. Don't ask questions." Malik protested, but Jamal cut him off. "Trust me, please." He hung up, staring at the ruined office. The note from the airport hadn't been a bluff. Apex wasn't just fighting dirty, they were playing for blood. He stepped over the debris, salvaging what he could. A hard drive, miraculously intact, held Nexus Corps' backups. Jamal clutched it, his resolve hardening. Lillian thought she could scare him off, but she'd miscalculated. He'd protect. Malik rebuild Nexus and bury Apex. The article was just the beginning. He needed more evidence, something undeniable, to turn the public's anger into a tidal wave. Tasha's files were a start, but he'd have to dig deeper, maybe even infiltrate Apex's systems. The risks were higher now, the stakes personal. Jamal glanced at his mother's photo, her eyes steady. "Fight smart," she'd said. He would. As dawn broke, Miami's skyline glowed pink, a deceptive calm masking the storm brewing. Jamal stood in his penthouse, the city sprawling below, a chessboard where he'd just made his opening move. Apex had retaliated, but he wasn't backing down. He texted Elena. "Need to meet." I've got more." Then he called Tasha, arranging a secure location. The vandalism was a setback, the threat against Malik a warning shot. But Jamal Kendrick wasn't built to fold. Apex had drawn first blood. Now it was his turn. Jamal Kendrick's reflection stared back from the tinted windows of a nondescript diner in Miami's Little Havana, 8 miles from his vandalized office. The humid air carried the scent of Cuban coffee as he sat across from Elena Cruz, her notepad scribbled with notes from their hour-long talk. His brother Malik was safe, tucked away in a hotel under Marcus's watch. But the voice message from last night, "Drop it, or your brother's next," looped in Jamal's mind. He'd handed Elena everything. Tasha Monroe's USB drive, his data, on Apex Airlines' discriminatory removals, and the viral video of his ejection from Flight 392. Elena's eyes gleamed with a journalist's hunger. "This could bury Apex," she said, tucking a strand of dark hair behind her ear. "But Lillian Mercer's not some cornered amateur. She'll hit back hard." Jamal nodded, his jaw tight. He'd seen Lillian's icy composure in shareholder meetings, her tailored suits masking a predator's instinct. "Let her try," he said. "The truth's on our side." Back at his penthouse, Jamal monitored the fallout from Elena's article, now live for 12 hours. The Miami Herald's homepage blazed with the headline, "Apex Airlines accused of systemic racism in passenger removals." It detailed the priority passenger checks policy, quoting Tasha's anonymized testimony and citing Jamal's ejection as the latest case. Social media was a wildfire. "Yeah, boycott Apex" trended with 4 million posts, and protest plans sprouted in Miami, Atlanta, and New York. Jamal scrolled through comments on his tablet, heart pounding. "This is bigger than me," one user wrote. "Apex been profiling for years." Another posted, "Jamal Kendrick's a hero." His phone buzzed with texts from Nexus Corps' board, urging caution, but Jamal felt a surge of triumph. Apex's stock had dipped 5% overnight, a crack in their armor. He imagined Lillian Mercer pacing her corner office, her empire wobbling. For the first time since the plane, he felt in control. He met Tasha at a park near Coconut Grove, 3 miles from the coffee shop, to strategize. She wore a baseball cap, her eyes scanning for threats. "You see the protests?" she asked, handing him a burner phone for secure calls. "People are pissed. We're hitting Apex where it hurts." Jamal nodded, pocketing the phone. "Elena's digging deeper. If we find more proof, we can force the FAA to investigate." Tasha's face hardened. "Lillian won't sit still. She fired me for less than what you're doing." Jamal's mind flashed to the spray-painted slurs in his office, the threat against Malik. Tasha was right. Lillian was planning her next move. But Jamal was ready to escalate, to turn the public's rage into a sledgehammer. He spent the afternoon analyzing Apex's financials, noting their reliance on Nexus Corps' $4 billion investment. Pulling it was just the start. He needed to dismantle their entire system. By evening, Jamal's optimism grew. News channels looped the viral video, pundits debated Apex's practices, and a petition for a federal probe gained 200,000 signatures. He stood on his balcony, Miami's skyline shimmering under a crescent moon. The city felt alive with change, as if his fight had sparked a movement. He texted Elena, "Keep pushing. I'm finding more." Her reply was instant. "Got a source inside Apex. Meeting tomorrow." Jamal's pulse quickened. If they could get internal testimony, Apex would crumble. He went to bed, not sleeping, but strategizing, visions of justice fueling him. He was winning, and it felt like the tide had turned. The next morning, Jamal woke to a notification. Apex Airlines was holding a press conference at 10. He tuned in from his study, the framed photo of his mother watching over him. Lillian Mercer stepped to the podium in Apex's gleaming headquarters, her platinum hair flawless, her voice smooth as glass. "Apex Airlines is committed to fairness and safety," she began, eyes locked on the camera. "The incident on Flight 392 involved a disruptive passenger, Jamal Kendrick, whose history of aggression posed a risk to others. Jamal's stomach dropped. History of aggression? He'd barely spoken on that plane. Lillian continued, her tone dripping with concern. We regret any misunderstanding, but our crew followed protocol to protect passengers like Douglas and Claire Wentworth, who felt genuinely threatened. The screen cut to the Wentworths, standing in a studio with a sympathetic anchor. Claire, her blonde hair perfectly coiffed, dabbed at dry eyes. We were terrified, she said, clutching Douglas's arm. Mr. Kendrick glared at us, made us feel unsafe in our seats. Douglas, his suit tailored to his broad frame, nodded gravely. We're not prejudiced. We just wanted a safe flight. Jamal's fists clenched. Lies, all of it. But the real blow came next. A grainy security video played, showing Jamal arguing with an Apex gate agent, his voice raised, hands gesturing, the anchor's voiceover intoned. This footage from a prior incident suggests a pattern of confrontational behavior. The room spun. That video was from 2 years ago, when Jamal had challenged a delayed flight's mismanagement. Not some racist outburst. Apex had twisted it, weaponizing his frustration. Social media turned brutal, where Jamal the thug trended alongside Juris Apex victims, with posts calling him a race-baiting liar and entitled bully. Nexus Corps' stock dipped 3% as clients emailed Jamal's board, questioning his leadership. His phone buzzed with a message from his CFO. We're losing partners. Call me. Jamal ignored it, his chest tight with betrayal. The public, so quick to rally behind him yesterday, now vilified him based on Lillian's lies. He rewatched the press conference, noting Lillian's subtle smirk as she deflected questions. This wasn't just a defense. It was a calculated smear, designed to crush his credibility and protect Apex's bottom line. She'd taken his moment of triumph and turned it into a trap. Jamal drove to Nexus Corps' temporary office, a leased space 5 miles from the vandalized headquarters. Marcus met him, updating him on Malik's safety. He's fine, but he's asking questions, Marcus said. Wants to know why he's hiding. Jamal's guilt surged. Malik didn't deserve this, caught in Apex's crosshairs because of his fight. He called Tasha, filling her in on the smear. Lillian's playing chess, Tasha said, her voice tense. She's got the Wentworths in her pocket, probably paid for that video edit. You need hard proof, Jamal, or she'll bury you. Tao agreed, his mind racing. The USB drive was a start, but he needed Apex's internal servers, raw, unfiltered data to expose Lillian's orders. Hacking was risky, but he had no choice. He spent the afternoon with his tech team, devising a plan to breach Apex's systems. The temporary office hummed with activity, coders typing furiously under fluorescent lights. Jamal's lead engineer, Priya, warned him, "Their security's tight. If we get caught, it's cybercrime charges." Jamal nodded, undeterred. We won't get caught. By nightfall, they'd identified a vulnerability in Apex's employee portal, a backdoor left by a sloppy update. Jamal felt a flicker of hope, but it was tempered by dread. Lillian's press conference had shifted the narrative, and he was losing allies. His board meeting tomorrow would be a battle, directors spooked by the stock drop, demanding he back off. He couldn't afford to lose Nexus Corps, not when it was his only leverage against Apex. At home, Jamal sat in darkness, the city's glow filtering through his windows. The Wentworths' teary interview replayed in his mind, their lies cutting, deeper than the vandalism. He'd expected resistance, but not this, a public crucifixion orchestrated by Lillian's money and influence. Douglas Wentworth's real estate empire gave him clout, connections to Miami's elite, likely including Lillian. Claire's performance was theater, but it worked. Jamal's reputation, built over 15 years of innovation, was unraveling in days. He touched his mother's photo, her smile grounding him. Fight smart, she'd said. He would, but first he needed to survive Lillian's next move. His phone pinged with a late-night email from Elena. Found a whistleblower. Willing to talk, Apex exec, high level. Meet me tomorrow, 6 p.m., warehouse district. Jamal's heart raced. An exec could confirm Lillian's role, maybe even provide server access. But the timing felt off. Too convenient after Lillian's smear. Was it a lead or a setup? He texted Tasha to join him, needing backup. The stakes were higher now. The boardroom and streets equally treacherous. Lillian had drawn a line, and Jamal was crossing it, no matter the cost. He closed his laptop, staring at Miami's skyline, a city of beauty and betrayal. Apex thought they'd silenced him, but they'd only lit a fuse. Jamal Kendrick's temporary office in Miami's warehouse district buzzed with the hum of servers, a stark contrast to the shattered remains of Nexus Corps' headquarters 5 miles away. The humid night pressed against the windows, the city's skyline a distant glow. Jamal's bruised ego still stung from Lillian Mercer's smear campaign, her press conference, the Wentworth's crocodile tears that doctored video painting him as a thug. Social media had turned venomous, with a Jamal the Thug trending and Nexus Corps' stock down 3%. But Jamal wasn't retreating. He sat with Tasha Monroe, their laptops open, screens casting blue light on their determined faces. "We need Apex's internal servers," Jamal said, voice low. "Hard proof of Lillian's orders. Emails, memos, anything unfiltered." Tasha nodded, her baseball cap shadowing her eyes. "Risky, but I know a way in. An old employee portal, poorly patched. Have you ever been judged unfairly, labeled something you're not? Comment number 1 if you faced lies like Jamal, then hit like and subscribe to see his fight for justice unfold." They worked through the night, Priya, Jamal's lead engineer, guiding them remotely. The portal's vulnerability was a sliver, but enough. By 3 in the morning, they breached Apex's servers, navigating encrypted folders. Jamal's pulse raced as he opened a file labeled PPC Implementation. Emails from Lillian surfaced, cold and direct. "Expand priority passenger checks to all first-class cabins. Minimize complaints from high-value clients." Another to a VP. "Ensure compliance or face termination." High-value clients meant people like Douglas Wentworth, whose real estate empire bankrolled Apex's board. Tasha's breath hitched. "This is it, Jamal. Proof Lillian's running the show." He copied the files, heart pounding. With these, he could bury Apex, restore his name, and protect Malik. The plan was set. Leak the emails to Elena Cruz for a bombshell expose. Victory seemed within reach, a light after days of darkness. But was Lillian one step ahead? Comment number 1 if you think Jamal's plan will work, or if you fear a trap, then like and subscribe for the next twist. Jamal left the office at dawn, the USB drive with the emails tucked in his jacket. Miami's streets were quiet, the air heavy with salt and heat. He drove to a board meeting at Nexus Corps' leased space, 3 miles from downtown, to reassure spooked directors. The smear had rattled them, clients pulling contracts, stock wobbling. Jamal's phone buzzed with a text from Elena. "Whistleblowers legit. Meet tonight, Warehouse District, 8 p.m. His spirits lifted. An Apex exec could corroborate the emails, sealing Lillian's fate. He parked in a garage near the meeting, the concrete structure dim and echoing. As he stepped out, a shadow moved. 2 men, masked and muscled, lunged from behind a pillar, knives glinting under flickering lights. Jamal's instincts kicked in. He dodged, heart slamming, but a blade grazed his arm, blood seeping through his sleeve. "Back off, Kendrick," one growled, voice muffled, "or you're done." Jamal stumbled, adrenaline surging. He grabbed a metal pipe from the ground, swinging it at the taller man's knees. The thug grunted, collapsing, but the second charged, knife aimed at Jamal's chest. Jamal sidestepped, slamming the pipe into the man's wrist. The knife clattered, away, and Jamal ran, legs burning, toward the garage's exit. Footsteps pounded behind him, but he reached his car, diving inside and locking the doors. His arm throbbed, blood staining his jacket. He floored the gas, tires screeching as he sped into Miami's morning traffic, the attackers' silhouettes fading in his rear view. At a red light, he checked his mirrors, paranoia gripping him. His car's tires were slashed, deflated to the rims, unnoticed in his panic. Tucked under the wiper was a note, scrawled in black ink. "Next time, you won't. Walk away." Can you feel Jamal's fear, knowing his enemies are watching? Comment number 1 if you'd fight like him, then like and subscribe to see how he survives. Jamal ditched the car in a lot 2 miles away, calling Marcus for a pickup. His arm burned, the cut shallow but stinging, a reminder of Lillian's reach. Marcus arrived, his SUV blending into the city's pulse. "You're lucky," he said, eyeing the blood. "Those weren't amateurs." Jamal clenched the note, its words mirroring the airport threat. Lillian wasn't just smearing him, she was hunting him. The emails were his weapon, but leaking them now risked more attacks, maybe on Malik or Tasha. He bandaged his arm in the SUV, mind racing. The board meeting was in 30 minutes, but his focus shifted to Elena's whistleblower. If they could confirm Lillian's orders, the risk would be worth it. He texted Tasha, "Stay low, they're coming for us." Her reply was instant. "Got your back. Be careful." The boardroom was a glass-walled cage, Nexus Corps directors fidgeting under harsh lights. Jamal stood, arm bandaged beneath his shirt, projecting calm. "Apex's lies won't hold," he said, voice steady. "We've got evidence, emails, straight from Lillian Mercer. Elena Cruz is breaking the story soon." The CFO, a gray-haired skeptic, frowned. "Your fight's tanking our stock, Jamal. Clients are bailing." Murmurs rippled. Jamal held their gaze. "Back me and we'll rebuild stronger. Fold and Apex wins." The room split, half nodded, half wavered. He left, unconvinced he'd swayed them. But the emails gave him leverage. If Elena's expose landed, Apex's stock would crater and his board would rally. Has anyone tried to silence you for speaking truth? Comment number 1 if you'd stand with Jamal, then like and subscribe to see his next move. Jamal drove to the warehouse district, 7 miles from the office for Elena's meeting. The sun sank, casting long shadows over abandoned lots. Tasha met him, her burner phone ready. "This whistleblower better be real," she muttered. "After that attack, I'm not trusting anyone." Jamal nodded, the note's warning. "Next time you won't walk away," burning in his mind. The key? Garage attack wasn't random. Lillian knew he'd hacked her servers. Her press conference had been a diversion, softening him for this strike. He checked his phone. No word from Malik, but Marcus confirmed he was safe. The warehouse loomed, its rusted doors creaking. Elena waited inside, her silhouette tense. "He's coming," she whispered. "High-level exec, scared but legit." Jamal's hope flared, but doubt lingered. Was this the breakthrough or Lillian's next trap? He replayed the attack, the knife's glint, the thug's growl. Lillian's influence ran deep. Money, connections, no limits. The Wentworths' lies on TV were her script, their wealth tied to her board. Jamal's arm ached, a reminder of how close he'd come to dying. The emails were his ace, but leaking them meant war. He glanced at Tasha, her jaw set. They'd both lost too much to stop now. Elena's whistleblower could tip the scales, but at what cost? Jamal's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "You're being watched." His blood ran cold. Lillian was closing in, her next move deadlier than knives. Who's tracking Jamal, and can he trust the whistleblower? Comment number 1 if you're rooting for his victory, then like and subscribe to see if he escapes Lillian's claws. Will this meeting expose Apex or lead Jamal into a deadly ambush? Jamal Kendrick crouched in the shadows of a derelict warehouse in Miami's industrial sprawl, 7 miles from the city's glittering core. The air was thick with rust and oil, the only light a flickering bulb casting jagged patterns on cracked concrete. His arm throbbed from the knife wound sustained in the parking garage ambush hours earlier, the bandage beneath his sleeve soaked with sweat. Tasha Monroe stood beside him, her burner phone dimmed, eyes scanning the darkness for Elena Cruz's whistleblower. The note from his car, "Next time you won't walk away," burned in Jamal's memory, joined by the text, "You're being watched." Lillian Mercer, Apex Airlines' ruthless CEO, was tightening her noose, but Jamal clutched the USB drive with her damning emails, proof of her racist profiling system. If Elena's exec delivered, he'd have Apex by the throat. Elena emerged. From the gloom, her journalist's poise frayed. "He's late," she whispered, checking her watch. "Said he's got server logs tying Lillian to the policy." Jamal's pulse quickened. Logs plus emails could force an FAA probe. Tasha shifted, uneasy. Feels like a setup after those thugs. Jamal nodded, the garage attack replaying. Knives. Flashing. His desperate swing with a pipe. Lillian knew he'd hacked her servers. This meeting could be her trap. Footsteps echoed, and a nervous man in a rumpled suit appeared, clutching a laptop. "I'm Greg," he said, voice shaky. "VP of Operations. Lillian's orders are in the logs, dates, targets, everything." He handed Elena a flash drive, glancing over his shoulder. Jamal's hopes surged. This was it, their knockout punch. Back at Nexus Corps' temporary office 4 miles away, Jamal and Tasha verified Greg's data. The logs detailed priority passenger checks executed on Lillian's command, targeting black passengers in first class across 50 flights. Jamal's ejection from Flight 392 was just one entry. He emailed the logs and emails to Elena, urging speed. "This goes live tonight," he said, voice firm. Tasha hesitated. "Lillian's watching. What if she hits harder?" Jamal's jaw tightened. "She's already tried knives. We're past caution." By 9, Elena's broadcast hit national TV, a bombshell segment on Channel 7. She stood before a Miami skyline, voice sharp. Apex Airline's CEO, Lillian Mercer, orchestrated a racist profiling system targeting black passengers. Exclusive documents reveal her direct orders. Clips of the viral video, Jamal dragged from the plane, flashed, paired with redacted emails and logs. Social media erupted. Apex exposed trending with 6 million posts. Protests swelled outside Apex's headquarters, 2 miles from downtown. With signs reading "No Fly for Racism," Apex's stock plummeted 10% in after-hours trading, a seismic blow. Jamal watched from the office, fist clenched. He'd struck at Lillian's heart, and it felt like victory. The protests grew, voices chanting in the humid night. Jamal's phone buzzed with texts from Nexus Corps' board, some praising his courage, others warning of legal fallout. He ignored them, eyes on the TV. Pundits called for Lillian's resignation. The FAA announced a preliminary review. Malik, safe in his hotel, texted, "You're killing it, bro." Jamal smiled, a rare moment of lightness. He imagined Lillian's polished office, her composure cracking as her empire shook. The public was with him, the evidence undeniable. He leaned back, exhaustion tugging at him. For the first time in days, he believed he could win, that Apex's lies would crumble under the weight of truth. But Lillian wasn't done, not by a long shot. At midnight, Jamal's world shattered. Sirens wailed outside the office, red and blue lights slicing through the windows. He stood, heart pounding, as SWAT officers stormed in, rifles raised. "Jamal Kendrick, you're under arrest for cyber-terrorism," a voice barked. Tasha gasped, stepping back. Jamal raised his hands, mind reeling. Cyber-terrorism? The lead officer, a woman with a badge reading Ruiz, cuffed him, her grip bruising. "You hacked Apex's systems, endangered flights." "She said, eyes cold. Jamal's voice was steady despite the chaos. "It's a setup. Check the evidence." Ruiz smirked. "Tell it to the judge." They dragged him through the office, past stunned techs, into a waiting van. Malik's face flashed in his mind. His brother, still a target. This was Lillian's counterstrike, and it was brutal. The Miami-Dade County Jail was a concrete maze, its air sour with sweat and bleach. Jamal sat in a holding cell, cuffs biting, his wrists, the cut on his arm aching. Guards patrolled, their boots echoing. One, a burly man with a buzz cut, leaned against the bars, sneering. "Thought you were a big shot, huh? Should have stayed in your place." Jamal's blood boiled, but he stayed silent, eyes fixed on the floor. Another guard, younger, tossed him a stale sandwich, muttering, "Troublemaking black guy." The FI. Slurs cut deeper than the cuffs, a reminder of the system's weight. He was denied bail, the judge citing flight risk based on Ruiz's report. Cyber-terrorism carried years in prison, a lie crafted to bury him. Lillian had weaponized the law, turning his expose into a noose. Jamal's cell was a 6 by 8 foot box, its walls scratched with graffiti. He sat on the bunk, replaying the arrest. Ruiz's smirk, the SWAT team's precision. It was too clean, too fast. Lillian had connections, rumors of her bribing. Officials swirled in Miami's underbelly. The emails and logs were public, but she'd spun them as stolen, framing him as a hacker. His phone, confiscated, held no lifeline. Nexus Core's board would panic, clients fleeing faster now. He thought of Malik, Tasha, Elena. Were they safe? Tasha's warning echoed. Lillian hits harder. This was her escalation, not just knives, but the full force of a corrupt system. Jamal's hope flickered, but he clung to it. Elena's broadcast had ignited a movement. The protests proved people cared. He had to trust Tasha and Elena to keep fighting. Hours blurred into a gray haze. A guard banged on the bars, waking Jamal from a fitful doze. "Visitor," he grunted. It was Elena, her face drawn, allowed a brief meeting through a glass partition. "Tasha's okay, but she got a call," Elena whispered. A voice said, "Your friend's next if you talk." Jamal's stomach sank. Lillian was targeting his allies, silencing them with fear. "Keep pushing the story," he said, voice low. "Find Ruiz's dirt. She's Lillian's pawn." Elena nodded, scribbling notes. "Protests are growing, and the FAA's under pressure. You've got support, Jamal." Her words were a lifeline, but the cell's walls closed in as she left. He was trapped, his victory stolen, his brother still at risk. Jamal paced the cell, mind racing. The cyberterrorism charge was a lie, but proving it meant exposing Ruiz's corruption. Tasha's files might hold clues, maybe financial records linking Lillian to dirty cops. He needed to get word to her, but the guards watched his every move. The buzz-cut guard returned, tossing a tray of slop through the slot. "Eat up, hero," he sneered, spitting the last word like a curse. Jamal ignored him, focusing on strategy. Elena's whistleblower Greg could testify, but he was likely terrified now. The protests were his leverage. Public pressure could force a bail hearing, but Lillian's reach was long, her next move unpredictable. Had she bought the judge? The DA? By morning, news filtered through a cellmate's radio. Apex's stock was down 12%, protests blocking Miami's streets. Jamal's heart lifted, but dread followed. Lillian wouldn't let this slide. She'd framed him to kill the story, to paint him as a criminal while she played victim. His arm ached, the cut a reminder of her last attack. If knives hadn't stopped him, she'd use bars, lies, maybe worse. He thought of his mother's photo, her steady gaze. "Fight smart," she'd said. He would, even from a cell. Tasha and Elena were out there, and the public was waking up. Lillian's empire was cracking, but she'd strike again, harder, crueler. Jamal steeled himself, ready for the next blow. Jamal Kendrick sat on the edge of a steel bunk in his 6 by 8 foot cell at Miami-Dade County Jail, the concrete walls cold against his back. The cut on his arm from the garage ambush pulsed beneath a fresh bandage, but the racial slurs from the guards, troublemaking black guy, cut deeper. 3 days in lockup, accused of cyber-terrorism, and no bail. Lillian Mercer's frame job had stripped him of freedom, her corrupt detective Carla Ruiz smirking as SWAT cuffed him. The TV broadcast of Apex Airline's racist profiling, sparked by his leaked emails, had ignited protests, but now he was caged, powerless. His brother Malik, hidden in a hotel 10 miles away, haunted his thoughts. Tasha Monroe's warning call, "Your friends next if you talk," meant Lillian was hunting his allies. Jamal's hope hung on Elena Cruz, whose investigative grit might expose Ruiz's corruption and free him. The cell block's fluorescent lights buzzed, casting a sickly glow. Jamal traced a graffiti scratch on the wall, a crude star, grounding himself. Elena's visit yesterday had been a lifeline. Protests were swelling, the FAA probing Apex, and she was digging into Ruiz. But Lillian's reach was vast. Cops, judges, maybe the DA. His Nexus Core board was fracturing, clients fleeing. After the stock's 10% drop, he closed his eyes, picturing his mother's photo, her steady gaze. "Fight smart," she'd said. He would, but the cell's confines choked his options. A guard's boots clomped outside, stopping at his door. "Kendrick, you're out," the man grunted, unlocking the bars. Charges dropped. "Move." Jamal's heart leaped, but suspicion followed. Was this real, or Lillian's next play? He followed the guard through the jail's labyrinth, the air thick with disinfectant. At the release desk, Elena waited, her expression a mix of relief and urgency. "Ruiz is dirty," she said, handing him his belongings. "I found bank, records, payments from an Apex shell company. My article hit this morning, and the DA buckled." Jamal's knees weakened. Free, after 3 days of hell. He signed out, retrieving his phone and wallet, the USB drive with Lillian's emails, still safe in his jacket. Outside, Miami's midday sun blinded him, the humidity wrapping him like a blanket. Elena drove him to a safe house, 6 miles from downtown, a modest bungalow in a quiet neighborhood. "Tasha's there," she said. "Malik's secure, but we've got problems." Jamal's gut twisted. "What kind?" Inside, Tasha sat at a kitchen table, her face drawn. "Lillian's escalating," she said, sliding him a burner phone. "After your broadcast, she's desperate. Protests are killing Apex. Stocks down 12%, flights canceled." Jamal nodded, the taste of victory bitter. "What's the catch?" Tasha hesitated, then showed him photos on her phone. Malik leaving his law school library, unaware of a camera. A note accompanied them, scrawled in red ink. "One call, and he's gone." Jamal's breath caught, rage and fear colliding. Malik, his lanky, bookish brother, was Lillian's new target. "They sent this to my hotel," he said, voice shaking. "She's not bluffing." Tasha's eyes hardened. "We need to end this, Jamal. Now." Jamal moved Malik to a new safe house, a condo 12 miles north, guarded by Marcus. He hugged his brother, Malik's confusion piercing him. "Why me, Jamal?" Malik asked, clutching a law textbook. "I'm nobody." Jamal forced a smile. "You're my family. That's enough for her." He left Marcus with strict orders. No calls, no visitors. Back at the bungalow, Jamal planned with Tasha and Elena. "Lillian's panicking," he said. "Her stock's crashing, the FAA's circling, we hit harder. More leaks, bigger protests." Elena nodded. "I've got a contact at the Justice Department. If we tie Lillian to Ruiz's bribes, it's federal." Jamal felt a surge of control, his release and the protest fueling him. He'd expose Lillian's empire, protect Malik, and bury Apex. The safe house felt like a fortress, his team unbreakable. But Lillian's counterstrike was swift and savage. At dusk, as Jamal reviewed Nexus Corp's financials, gunfire shattered the bungalow's windows, glass sprayed, bullets thudding into walls. Jamal dove to the floor, pulling Tasha with him. Elena screamed, crawling under the table. The shots came from a black SUV outside, its tinted windows hiding the shooters. Jamal's heart pounded, the garage ambush's terror resurfacing. He grabbed a kitchen knife, useless against guns but better than nothing. The SUV peeled away, tires screeching, leaving silence and smoke. Jamal checked Tasha and Elena, shaken but unharmed. He ran outside, finding a brick on the lawn, wrapped with a note. "Stop, or Malik's dead." The red ink matched the photos, Lillian's signature. Jamal's knees buckled, the knife clattering to the pavement. Lillian wasn't just threatening, she was attacking, her reach extending to his inner circle. The bungalow, their sanctuary, was compromised. He called Marcus, voice tight. "Check Malik now." Marcus confirmed Malik was safe, but the condo's cameras caught a suspicious car circling. Jamal's mind raced. Lillian had tracked him, maybe through Ruiz or a mole. The protests, the FAA probe, his release. They'd cornered her, and she was lashing out, targeting Malik to break him. He moved Tasha and Elena to a new hideout, a motel 8 miles east, its neon sign flickering. "We're not safe anywhere," Tasha said, her voice low. "She's got eyes everywhere." Jamal nodded, guilt gnawing him. His fight had endangered them all. At the motel, Jamal sat on a sagging bed, the note's words searing. Stop, or Malik's dead. He replayed the gunfire, the SUV's roar, the brick's weight. Lillian's escalation from knives to bullets showed her desperation, but also her power. Apex's stock was hemorrhaging, down 15% now, but she'd rather burn everything than lose. He texted Elena. "Find Ruiz's money trail. It's our only shot." She replied, "On it. Stay alive." Tasha scoured her old Apex, contacts, seeking anyone who'd talk. Jamal's phone buzzed, a news alert. Protests had shut down Miami's airport, Apex canceling 20 flights. The public was with him, but Lillian's attack had shaken his resolve. Was Malik's life worth this war? He stood at the motel window, Miami's lights blurred by rain. The safe house attack was a message. Lillian could reach him anywhere, anytime. His release had been a false dawn, a fleeting victory snatched away. Nexus Corps' board was wavering, his stock crumbling, his allies in danger. He touched his bandage, the cut a reminder of how close he'd come to death. Lillian's empire was cracking, but she'd drag him down with her. He thought of his mother's words. Fight smart. He'd regroup, protect Malik, and strike back. But doubt crept in. Could he outmaneuver a woman who'd turned his freedom into a trap? The motel's walls closed in, and Jamal braced for Lillian's next blow. Jamal Kendrick hunched over a chipped Formica table in a rundown motel, 8 miles east of Miami's gleaming skyline, the neon sign outside buzzing like a trapped insect. The gunfire that shattered the safe house windows last night still echoed. In his ears, Lillian Mercer's note, "Stop, or Malik's dead," clutched in his fist. His brother Malik was safe, hidden in a condo 12 miles north. But Lillian's attack had shaken Jamal to his core. Tasha Monroe sat across from him, her eyes bloodshot, scanning news on a burner phone. Elena Cruz paced, her laptop open to a draft article linking Detective Carla Ruiz's bribes to Apex Airlines. Apex's stock was down 15%, protests, choking Miami's airport, but Lillian's escalation, knives, bullets, threats against Malik, proved she'd burn everything to win. Jamal's arm throbbed from the garage ambush, but his resolve burned hotter. He'd hit back, and this time, Apex would bleed. The motel room smelled of mildew, its thin walls barely muffling the hum of traffic. Jamal's phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "Malik's secure, no tails." Relief washed over him, but guilt lingered. Malik's life was at risk because of his fight. Tasha looked up. "We can't hide forever. Lillian's got eyes everywhere." Jamal nodded, his mind racing. The leaked emails and server logs had sparked a fire, but he needed a sledgehammer to crack Apex's foundation. "We go after their partners," he said, voice steady. Nexus Corps' $4 billion investment ties Apex to major suppliers. If we pull them, Apex's operations grind to a halt. Tasha's eyes narrowed. "A boycott? That's bold, risky." Elena paused, pacing. "It could work. Protests are already killing their bookings, hit their supply chain, and they're done." Jamal spent the morning on encrypted calls, leveraging Nexus Corps' clout. He contacted 3 key partners, Global Avionics, Skyfuel Corp, and Aerotech, whose contracts with Apex relied on his software and funding. "Pull your deals," he urged, detailing Lillian's racist policies. Global Avionics CEO, a gruff-eyed woman who'd faced discrimination herself, agreed instantly. Skyfuel followed, citing public pressure. Aerotech hesitated, but caved when Jamal threatened to revoke their software licenses. By noon, 30% of Apex's flights were grounded. Fuel, shortages, avionics offline. News channels blared, Apex Airlines crippled by supplier boycott. Social media roared with Rika ground Apex, protests swelling to 10,000 marchers outside Apex's headquarters, 2 miles from downtown. Jamal watched from the motel, heart pounding. Apex's stock plummeted another 5%, a 20% total drop. He choked their lifeline, and it felt like triumph. Lillian's empire was crumbling, and he was the architect. But the victory was fragile. Jamal's Nexus Core board was fracturing, half spooked by the boycott's fallout. Clients emailed, threatening to jump ship, and the stock wobbled at a 12% loss. He needed more evidence to keep the pressure on, something to bury Lillian for good. Tasha suggested a contact, Vince Harlow, a former Apex PR consultant, who'd left under murky circumstances. "He's shady," she warned, "but he knows Lillian's dirt, financials, maybe bribes to Ruiz." Jamal hesitated, the garage ambush and safe house attack making him wary, but options were slim. They met Vince at a dive bar 6 miles west, its neon-lit interior reeking of stale beer. Vince was a wiry man in his 40s, with slicked-back hair and a crooked grin. "Heard you're taking on Mercer," he said, sipping a whiskey. "I've got files, offshore accounts, payments to cops, but it'll cost you." Jamal slid him a prepaid card with $10,000. Vince pocketed it, handing over a flash drive. "Lillian's untouchable," he said, "or so she thinks." Jamal's hope flared. With Vince's files, he could tie Lillian to Ruiz's corruption, maybe even force her arrest. Back at the motel, Jamal and Tasha verified the drive. It held bank records, cryptic emails, and a ledger hinting at Apex funneling money to a shell company tied to Ruiz. "This is gold," Tasha said, eyes wide. "Elena can run with it." Jamal texted Elena, arranging to deliver the files. The boycott was working. Canceled flights, plummeting stock, protests raging, but Vince's files could be the kill shot. He imagined Lillian's polished office, her icy facade cracking as the FAA and Justice Department closed in. Malik was safe, his team was intact, and the public's fury was unstoppable. Jamal allowed himself a moment of pride, a sense that he'd turned the tide. Apex was on its knees, and he was ready to finish it. Then the trap sprang. At midnight, Jamal's burner phone buzzed with a call from Vince. "Got more dirt," he said, voice urgent. "Meet me at the old shipping warehouse 3 miles from your motel. Come alone." Jamal's instincts screamed danger, but the files were too valuable to ignore. He drove to the warehouse, a hulking skeleton of steel and rust, its lot deserted, under a sliver of moon. The air was heavy, Miami's humidity clinging to his skin. He stepped inside, flashlight cutting through the dark, revealing crates and cobwebs. "Vince?" he called, voice echoing. No answer. Then floodlights blazed, blinding him. Footsteps thundered, and Detective Carla Ruiz emerged, flanked by 6 officers, guns drawn. "Jamal Kendrick, you're under arrest," she barked. "Trespassing, conspiracy, you name it." Jamal's heart sank. Vince had betrayed him, selling his location to Ruiz. The officers swarmed, cuffs snapping on his wrists, tighter than in jail. Ruiz leaned close, her breath hot. "Lillian says hello. You should have quit while you were ahead." Jamal's mind raced. Vince's crooked grin, the prepaid card, the too easy handoff. Lillian had played him, using Vince as bait. The warehouse was a setup, a trap to silence him, while Apex spun the boycott as his fault. Officers shoved him toward a van, but Jamal resisted, twisting to face Ruiz. "You're dirty, and I'll prove it," he spat. She laughed, slamming the van door. The vehicle sped off, leaving the warehouse behind. But Jamal's flashlight had fallen, rolling into a crate's shadow. Inside was a glint, a sewer grate. Desperation fueled him. As the van slowed at a gate, Jamal kicked the door, catching an officer off guard. He dove out, rolling onto asphalt, pain shooting through his bandaged arm. Sirens wailed, but he sprinted for the warehouse, diving through the grate into a fetid sewer. The stench choked him, water sloshing to his knees, but he ran, flashlight, beam stabbing the dark above. Officers shouted, but the tunnel's maze gave him cover. He emerged a mile away, soaked and battered, in a drainage ditch. His phone was gone, cuffs still on one wrist, but he was free. For now. Vince's taunt rang. "Lillian owns this city." She'd turned his boycott into a noose, her betrayal cutting deeper than Ruiz's cuffs. Jamal stumbled to a payphone, 2 miles from the warehouse, calling Tasha on her burner. "Vince sold us out," he gasped, voice raw. "Ruiz ambushed me. I'm at the old rail yard. Get Elena, move fast." Tasha's voice was tense. Lillian's playing for keeps. Stay hidden. Jamal crouched in the rail yard's shadows, the city's pulse distant. The boycott had grounded Apex's flights, but Lillian's trap had nearly ended him. His board would balk, Malik was still a target, and Ruiz was hunting. He needed Elena's article on Ruiz's bribes to turn the tide, but doubt gnawed. Hemoir. Vince fed him fake files? Was Elena safe? The sewer's stench clung to him, a reminder of how close he'd come to capture. Lillian's empire was cracking, but she owned the board, and Jamal was running out of moves. Jamal Kendrick crouched in the shadows of Miami's old rail yard, 2 miles from the warehouse where Detective Carla Ruiz's ambush had nearly ended him. The sewer's stench clung to his clothes, his arm throbbing from the knife wound sustained days ago. Vince Harlow's betrayal, selling his location to Ruiz for Lillian Mercer's payoff, burned like acid. Apex Airlines' CEO was relentless, her empire crumbling under Jamal's boycott, which grounded 30% of their flights, yet she'd trapped him with a fake promise of dirt. His cuffs, half removed during his sewer escape, dangled from one wrist, a reminder of how close he'd come to capture. Tasha Monroe's voice crackled through a burner phone. I'm with Elena, 3 miles away. Stay hidden. Jamal's heart pounded, the city's humid pulse pressing in. He needed to expose Lillian's corruption, but Vince's double-cross had cost him his phone, his leverage, and nearly his life. Have you ever been stabbed in the back by someone you trusted? Comment number 1, if you've faced betrayal like Jamal, then hit like and subscribe to see his comeback. Tasha and Elena picked him up in a beat-up sedan, the rail yard's gravel crunching under their tires. Jamal slid into the back seat, his soaked jeans sticking to the vinyl. Elena's eyes met his in the rear view. Ruiz's raid was all Lillian, she said, handing him a clean shirt. Vince played us, but I've got something big. She passed him a tablet, open to a leaked Apex training video. Jamal's breath caught as it played. Lillian, in a crisp blazer, addressing flight attendants in a sterile conference room. Priority. Passenger checks ensure our high-value clients feel secure, she said, her voice cold. Flag urban attire, aggressive postures, anything that disrupts their experience. The subtext was blatant. Target black passengers. Tasha's jaw tightened. This is from 3 years ago. I was in that room, told to shut up. Jamal's fury surged. This was the smoking gun, proof Lillian orchestrated the racism that got him ejected from Flight 392. Can you feel the rage of being judged for who you are? Comment number 1 if you stand against profiling like Jamal, then like and subscribe for his next move. They drove to a safe house, a cramped apartment 9 miles from downtown, its curtains drawn against Miami's neon glow. Jamal's mind raced. Lillian's video could destroy Apex, but broadcasting it risked another attack. Malik, his brother, was safe 12 miles north, but Lillian's note, 1 call, and he's gone, loomed. Elena connected her laptop to a secure server. Prepping the video for release. I've got a slot on Channel 7 tonight, she said. Live, national reach. Jamal nodded, his resolve hardening. The boycott had slashed Apex's stock by 20%, protests shutting down their hub, but the video would be a death blow. He hacked a temporary broadcast link, ensuring every Apex flight screen would show it, a public shaming Lillian couldn't dodge. By 8, the broadcast aired. Elena's voice boomed. Apex Airlines CEO Lillian Mercer trained staff to profile black passengers, as this exclusive video proves. Lillian's face filled screens, her words damning. Social media exploded. Apex's racist trended with 8 million posts, protests doubling to 20,000 marchers. Apex's stock crashed another 20%, a 40% total plunge. Jamal watched from the safe house, fist clenched. He'd exposed Lillian's soul and it felt like victory. Have you ever fought for justice against all odds? Comment number 1 if you're cheering Jamal's courage, then like and subscribe to see Apex's downfall. The fallout was electric. News channels looped the video, pundits demanding Lillian's arrest. The FAA expanded its probe and a Senate committee scheduled hearings. Jamal's phone buzzed with texts from Nexus Corps' board. Some rallied, Others panicked as the stock wobbled at 15% down. He ignored them, eyes on the TV. Protesters chanted outside Apex's headquarters, signs reading, "Lillian, must go." Malik texted, "You're a legend, bro." Jamal's chest swelled, a rare moment of pride. He'd turned Lillian's lies, her smear campaign, the doctored footage, into ash. The public was a tidal wave, and he was its crest. He imagined Lillian's office, her platinum hair frazzled, her empire in freefall. The safe house felt like a war room, Tasha and Elena his generals. They'd won a battle, and the war was theirs to finish. But Lillian's counterstrike was a masterstroke of malice. At midnight, Jamal's tablet pinged with a news alert. Jamal. Kendrick accused of assault in shocking Apex video. His stomach dropped as he clicked the link. A deepfake video played, crystal clear, showing him shoving a flight attendant to the ground, her scream piercing. The footage was fake, his face grafted onto another's body, but it looked real. Social media turned feral. Cancel Jamal trended, with 5 million posts, users calling him a violent fraud and hypocrite. The hashtag #Apex victims resurfaced with comments like, "Kendrick's the real racist." Nexus Corps' offices, still under repair from the vandalism, were egged, windows smashed again. Clients canceled contracts, the stock plunging another 5%. Jamal's lawyer called, voice grim. "They're pushing for assault charges. This could stick. Has anyone ever twisted your truth into a lie?" Comment number 1 if you've been smeared like Jamal, then like and subscribe to see how he fights back. Jamal rewatched the deepfake, his gut churning. The attendant's face was unfamiliar, the setting a generic Apex cabin, but the tech was flawless. Lillian's doing, no doubt. Vince Harlow's betrayal had taught her his moves. She'd hired a pro to craft this. The video spread like wildfire, news anchors debating his true character. Protesters wavered, some peeling away, confused. Jamal's board emailed, demanding. He stepped down. He slammed the tablet down, the safe house's walls closing in. Tasha's eyes were fierce. "Lillian's desperate, but she's smart. This is her pivot. Turn you into the villain." Elena nodded, typing furiously. "I'm tracing the video source. If we find the editor, we can expose it." Jamal's hope flickered, but dread overwhelmed it. The deepfake had stolen his momentum, his allies, his name. He paced the apartment, Miami's rain drumming the roof. The boycott's success, 30% of flights grounded, felt hollow now. Lillian had flipped the script, using his own weapon, video, against him. The safe house attack, Ruiz's raid, now this. Her escalations were surgical, each cut deeper. Malik's safety, Nexus Corps' survival, his freedom hung by threads. He thought of the Wentworth's TV lies, their smug faces fueling Lillian's smear. They were her puppets, their wealth tied to her board. Jamal's lawyer warned of a grand jury, the assault charge gaining traction. He needed to disprove the deepfake, but how? Elena's source might help, but time was slipping. Have you ever lost everything to a lie you couldn't disprove? Comment number 1 if you're rooting for Jamal to clear his name, then like and subscribe for the next chapter. Jamal sat, staring at Lillian's training video, paused on her cold smile. She'd trained staff to profile, framed him for terrorism, and now painted him as a thug. The public, once his army, was fracturing. He texted Tasha, "Dig into Vince. He's the key." If Vince had connections to the deepfake, they could trace Lillian's tech. Elena's Justice Department contact offered hope. If they linked Lillian to the video, it was fraud. But the safe house felt exposed. Lillian's eyes everywhere. Jamal's arm ached, the cut a reminder of her knives, her bullets. He needed a miracle to turn this tide, and miracles were scarce in Miami's underbelly. Can a single truth shatter a web of lies? Comment number 1 if you believe Jamal can fight back, then like and subscribe to see his daring counterstrike. Will Jamal expose Lillian's deepfake or fall into her deadliest trap yet? Jamal Kendrick sat in the dim glow of a safe house apartment, 9 miles from Miami's pulsing heart, the city's rain hammering the tin roof. The deepfake video, Him shoving a non-existent flight attendant had turned the public against him. Cancel Jamal trending with 5 million venomous posts. Apex Airlines stock had crashed 40%, his boycott grounding their fleet. But Lillian Mercer's counterstrike had painted him as a violent fraud. His Nexus Core offices were vandalized again, clients fleeing, his board demanding he resign. The cut on his arm from the garage ambush ached, a reminder of Lillian's escalating wrath, knives, gunfire, betrayal. Tasha Monroe and Elena Cruz flanked him, their faces grim. Tasha's burner phone showed a text from a source. Lillian wants to talk. Midnight, Old Hangar, 7 miles west. Jamal's pulse quickened. A trap, surely, but also a chance to end this. The apartment's air was thick with mildew, the curtains drawn tight. Jamal's mind replayed the deepfake, its flawless lie shredding his name. Lillian had learned from Vince Harlow's betrayal, weaponizing tech to bury him. Protests still raged, but their focus split. Some called him a hero, others a thug. Malik, his brother, was safe 12 miles north, but Lillian's note, one call, and he's gone, haunted him. Elena's Justice Department contact was chasing Ruiz's bribes, but the deepfake's damage was immediate. Lillian's desperate, Jamal said, voice low. Her stock's tanking, the FAA's closing in. This meeting's her play to shut me up. Tasha's eyes narrowed. You can't go, she'll kill you. Jamal shook his head. If I don't, she'll keep coming. Malik, you, Elena. I need her on record, admitting everything. He spent the evening rigging a hidden camera, a pin-sized device in his jacket, streaming to Elena's secure server. If Lillian confessed, it'd be her undoing. Tasha scoured Vince's files, finding a lead. The deepfake's editor, a hacker tied to Apex's PR firm. Elena traced the editor's IP, confirming Lillian's involvement. We can expose the fake, Elena said, but we need time. Jamal nodded, the hangar meeting his only shot to buy it. He texted Marcus, ensuring Malik's safety, then drove alone to the hangar, 7 miles west in Miami's industrial fringe. The rain-slicked road gleamed under his headlights, the city's neon fading behind. His arm throbbed, the bandage tight, but his resolve was iron. Lillian had framed him, shot at him, betrayed him. Tonight he'd face her head-on. The hangar loomed, a rusted giant under a moonless sky, its doors ajar. Jamal parked a quarter-mile away, approaching on foot, the camera's red light blinking in his collar. The air was heavy, diesel and damp earth mixing with his sweat. He slipped inside, the cavernous space swallowing his footsteps. Shadows danced across derelict planes, their wings sagging. "Lillian!" he called, voice echoing. A spotlight flared, blinding him. Detective Carla Ruiz stepped forward, her badge glinting, flanked by 4 armed men in tactical gear. "No, Lillian," Ruiz sneered. "Just me." Jamal's heart sank. A trap, not a talk. Ruiz raised her gun, her men circling. "You've been a pain, Kendrick. Time to end it." Jamal's mind raced, the camera still rolling. "Lillian sent you," he said, stalling. "She's done. Stock's crashed. FAA's on her. You're backing a loser." Ruiz laughed, her gun steady. "She pays better than justice. You hacked Apex, leaked lies, stirred up riots. You're done." Her men tightened the circle, rifles aimed. Jamal's eyes darted, spotting a rusty chain on the floor. "The video's fake," he said, edging closer. "You know it. Lillian's using you." Ruiz's smirk faltered, but she nodded to her men. "Tie him up." As one grabbed his arm, Jamal lunged, seizing the chain and swinging it into the man's knee. A crack echoed, the man collapsing. Jamal dove behind a plane, bullets sparking off metal. The hangar erupted in chaos, Ruiz's men fanning out, their boots pounding. Jamal crawled through the dark, chain clutched, his camera streaming every second. He needed to survive, get the footage to Elena. A shadow loomed, and he swung the chain, catching a man's jaw. The thug fell, but Ruiz's voice cut through. "Find him, or you're all fired." Jamal's breath burned, the cut on his arm splitting open, blood soaking his sleeve. He reached a side door, but it was locked. The handle rusted shut. Bullets ricocheted, one grazing his shoulder, pain searing. He ducked into a cockpit, its controls dead, and found a flare gun under the seat. A desperate plan formed. Light the hangar, draw attention. Headlights flashed outside, tires screeching. Tasha's voice shouted, "Jamal, get out!" She'd tracked him, defying his orders to stay back. Her sedan rammed the hangar door, metal buckling. Ruiz's men turned, distracted, and Jamal fired. The flare gun, a red streak igniting a stack of crates. Flames roared, smoke billowing, chaos buying him seconds. He sprinted for the breech door, Tasha's car idling. A bullet whizzed past, Ruiz's scream following. "Don't let him escape!" Jamal dove into the back seat, Tasha flooring the gas. The hangar shrank in the rear view, firelight dancing, Ruiz's men scrambling. Jamal's shoulder bled, his vision blurring, but the camera was intact, its footage safe. Tasha's eyes met his in the mirror. "You're insane," she said, voice tight. "But you're alive." They sped to a new safe house, 10 miles east, a boarded-up duplex in a forgotten neighborhood. Elena waited, her laptop open, the camera's stream downloaded. "You got Ruiz on tape," she said, replaying the footage. Ruiz's taunts, her admission of Lillian's orders. This could nail her. Jamal's relief was fleeting. Lillian's trap had nearly killed him, and her reach was terrifying. Ruiz, hired guns, deepfakes. Apex's stock was in freefall, protests raging, but she'd sacrificed nothing to take him down. Malik's safety, Nexus Corps' survival, his own life hung by threads. Tasha bandaged his shoulder, her hands steady. "Lillian's running scared," she said. "That's why she's hitting this hard." Jamal nodded, pain clouding his thoughts. The footage was a weapon, but broadcasting it risked more. Lillian's next move could be fatal. He sat, staring at the duplex's peeling wallpaper, the rain's drone a grim backdrop. The hangar's flames replayed, Ruiz's gun aimed at his chest. Lillian hadn't shown, sending Ruiz to do her dirty work, but her words, "You're done," echoed. The deepfake had turned the public. This trap aimed to silence him permanently. Elena's Justice Department contact needed the footage, but Ruiz's men were hunting, likely tracking Tasha's car. Jamal's board was crumbling, clients gone, his stock down 20%. He thought of Malik, his brother's textbooks, his dreams at risk. Guilt gnawed. His fight had endangered everyone. But his mother's voice cut through. Fight smart. He'd use the footage, expose Ruiz, and dismantle Lillian. The duplex felt like a cage, but Jamal was still in the game, barely. Elena typed, drafting an article to pair with the footage. "Ruiz mentioned regulators," she said. "Lillian's bought them off, FAA, maybe DOJ." Jamal's blood ran cold. If Lillian controlled the system, his evidence was worthless. The hangar trap was her flex, showing she could kill him and walk away. Tasha's phone buzzed, a source warning of Ruiz's citywide manhunt. "We need to move," Tasha said, packing gear. Jamal stood, shoulder screaming, the camera his only edge. Lillian's empire was cracking, but she'd risk everything to crush him. The safe house's walls trembled with rain, and Jamal braced for her next, deadlier strike. Jamal Kendrick slumped against the peeling wall of a boarded-up duplex, 10 miles east of Miami's neon-lit core, the rain's relentless drum masking his ragged breaths. His shoulder burned from the bullet graze sustained in the hangar ambush, the knife wound on his arm oozing beneath a soaked bandage. Lillian Mercer's trap, Detective Carla Ruiz's men, guns drawn, ready to kill, had nearly ended him, but Tasha Monroe's daring rescue gave him a lifeline. The hidden camera's footage, capturing Ruiz's taunts and Lillian's orders, was safe with Elena Cruz, a ticking bomb against Apex Airlines. But the deepfake video, branding Jamal a violent thug, had poisoned the public. Just cancel Jamal trending, with 5 million posts. Apex's stock was down 40%, protests raging, yet Lillian's reach, knives, gunfire, betrayal, kept him on the edge. He needed to strike now, before she crushed him. The duplex's air was stale, its windows sealed with plywood. Tasha cleaned Jamal's shoulder, her hands steady despite the fear in her eyes. "You're lucky," she said, tying a fresh bandage. "Another inch, and you'd be gone." Elena hunched over her laptop, uploading the hangar footage to a secure server. "Ruiz's confession is gold," she said. "Lillian's done if we get this to the FAA." Jamal nodded, his jaw tight. Malik, his brother, was safe 12 miles north, but Lillian's threat, one call and he's gone, loomed like a blade. Nexus Corps' stock was down 20%, his board fracturing, clients fleeing. The deepfake had stolen his allies, but the footage could reclaim them. He had to rally the public, turn their anger into a tsunami, and force the FAA to act. Jamal spent the morning organizing, using encrypted channels to contact protest leaders. "We're hitting Apex's headquarters," he told them, voice firm. "Bring the footage, show the world Lillian's truth." By noon, he stood before a crowd of 25,000 outside Apex's glass tower, 2 miles from downtown. The Miami sun blazed, humidity choking, but the protesters' chants shook the air. No justice, no flights. Jamal held a megaphone, the camera's footage projected on a massive screen. "Lillian Mercer tried to silence me," he roared. "But here's her hired gun, Carla Ruiz, admitting her crimes." The video played. Ruiz's sneer, her words. "Lillian pays better than justice." The crowd erupted, fists raised, signs demanding Lillian's arrest. News helicopters buzzed overhead, broadcasting live. The FAA issued a statement. Immediate investigation into Apex Airlines. Apex's stock plummeted another 5%, a 45% total drop. Jamal's heart soared. He'd ignited a revolution, and it felt like victory. The protests surged, blocking Miami streets, Apex canceling 50 flights. Social media flipped. Justice for Jamal trended with 7 million posts, drowning out. "Cancel Jamal." Elena's article, linking Ruiz's bribes to Lillian, went viral, the Justice Department taking notice. Jamal's phone buzzed with texts from Nexus Corps' board. Some rallied, others wavered, but the crowd's energy fueled him. He pictured Lillian's office, her empire collapsing under public fury. Malik texted, "You're unstoppable, bro." Jamal smiled, a fleeting warmth. The FAA's probe was his leverage, the footage his sword. He'd exposed Lillian's corruption, turned her deepfake into dust. The safe house, Tasha, Elena, they were his anchor, and the war was his, to win. But Lillian's counterstrike was a gut punch of cruelty. At dusk, as Jamal left the protest, his burner phone buzzed with a video call from an unknown number. He answered, and Malik's face filled the screen, gagged, hands bound, eyes wide with terror. A masked man held a knife to his throat. A voice, rasping, "Destroy your evidence, Kendrick, or he's dead by midnight." The call cut off, leaving a text. "Vault, Apex HQ, 11 p.m. Come alone." Jamal's knees buckled, the phone slipping from his hand. Malik, his bookish brother, caught in Lillian's claws. The protest's roar faded, guilt and panic flooding him. Lillian had kidnapped Malik, her most personal attack, demanding he sacrifice his fight to save his family. Jamal stumbled to the safe house 9 miles away, rain soaking his clothes. Tasha and Elena waited, their faces paling as he showed the video. "We call the feds," Tasha said, voice shaking. "They've got the footage, they can raid Apex." Jamal shook his head, voice hoarse. "Lillian's got regulators bought. If I don't go, Malik's dead." Elena grabbed her laptop. "I'll alert my DOJ contact, but it'll take hours." Jamal's mind raced. Lillian's trap was clear, but he had no choice. He rigged another hidden camera, streaming to Elena, and grabbed a pocket knife, its blade a slim defense. "Track me," he told Tasha. "If I don't make it, use the footage." Tasha's eyes glistened, but she nodded. "Bring him back." He drove to Apex's headquarters, 2 miles from the protest, its glass facade dark, security sparse amid the chaos. The vault, a secure basement, was a fortress. Steel doors, keypad locks. Jamal slipped through a service entrance, avoiding cameras, his heart pounding. The building was silent, the air cool and sterile. He descended to the basement. The vault's door looming, a red light blinking. He punched in a code from Tasha's old Apex files, praying it worked. The door hissed open, revealing a concrete chamber. Malik bound in a chair, alone. "Jamal!" he mumbled through the gag, eyes frantic. Jamal cut him free, knife trembling, but as they turned, an alarm screamed, steel shutters slamming down, trapping them inside. The vault's air grew heavy, oxygen thinning, a faint hiss signaling a pump draining it. Jamal's chest tightened, Malik gasping beside him. Lillian's voice crackled through a speaker. "You thought you'd win, Kendrick. Destroy the footage or you both suffocate." A monitor flickered, showing the hangar video. Ruiz's confession, his only leverage. Jamal's vision blurred, panic clawing. The vault was a death trap, Lillian's final gambit to erase him and Malik. He scanned the room, spotting a control panel, its wires exposed. His pocket knife was useless against steel, but the panel might override the shutters. "Hold on," he told Malik, voice steady despite the fear. He pried open the panel, hands shaking, the air thinning with each second. Malik slumped, his breath shallow, textbooks flashing in Jamal's mind. His brother's dreams, now at risk. The protest's victory, the FAA's probe, felt distant. Lillian's trap outsmarting them all. Jamal's shoulder bled, the graze, reopening, but he focused, tracing wires. The alarm's wail masked his thoughts, the speaker silent. Lillian was watching, waiting. Nexus Corps stock, his board, the public, they'd abandon him if he died here. He found a relay switch, sparking under his knife, but the shutters stayed shut, oxygen dropping. His mother's voice echoed, "Fight smart." He had to hack the system, but time was gone. The vault's walls closed in, and Jamal braced for Lillian's endgame. Jamal Kendrick's lungs burned in the suffocating vault beneath Apex Airlines' headquarters, 2 miles from Miami's chaotic streets. The air was thinning, a faint hiss draining oxygen. His brother Malik slumped beside him, gasping through shallow breaths. Lillian Mercer's voice echoed from a speaker. "Destroy the footage or you both suffocate." The monitor glowed with the hangar video. Detective Carla Ruiz's confession, Jamal's only weapon against Apex's CEO. His shoulder bled from a bullet graze, the knife wound on his arm splitting open, pain clouding his vision. The deep fake, branding him a thug, had fractured public support. Apex's stock down 45%. But Lillian's kidnapping of Malik and this vault trap were her deadliest play yet. Jamal's pocket knife trembled over the control panel's wires, his last hope to override the shutters. He had to save Malik, expose Lillian, and survive. But time was bleeding out. The vault's concrete walls pressed in, the alarm's wail, relentless. Jamal's fingers fumbled, tracing the panel's relay switch, sparks biting his skin. Malik's eyes fluttered, his law textbooks flashing in Jamal's mind. His brother's dreams, now fading. The protest outside, 25,000 strong, felt a world away. The FAA's probe a distant promise. Nexus Corps' stock was down 20%, his board on the verge of mutiny. Lillian's empire was crumbling, but she'd rigged the game. Her regulators bought, her trap airtight. Jamal's knife nicked a wire, the shutters jerking, a sliver of air seeping in. "Hold on, Malik," he rasped, voice raw. He spliced another wire, the panel sparking wildly, and the shutters groaned, inching upward. Oxygen rushed in, Malik coughing, color returning to his face. Jamal yanked him up, diving through the gap as the alarm screamed louder. They stumbled into the basement corridor, Apex's sterile air a lifeline. Jamal's hidden camera, still pinned to his jacket, had streamed the vault's horror to Elena Cruz's server. He supported Malik, whose legs wobbled, and navigated the service stairs, avoiding security. The building was a ghost, protests outside diverting guards. They slipped through a loading dock, rain soaking them, and reached Tasha Monroe's sedan, parked a half-mile away. Tasha's eyes widened at Malik's state. "You're insane," she said, flooring the gas. Jamal checked the camera, its footage intact, Lillian's voice damning. "Destroy the footage or you both suffocate." He texted Elena, "Send it to the FBI, now." Malik leaned against him, whispering, "You saved me." Jamal's guilt eased, but Lillian's reach loomed. She'd killed to keep this quiet. They sped to a new safe house, a motel 15 miles east, its flickering neon sign a beacon in the storm. Elena waited, her laptop open, the vault footage uploaded to a secure FBI portal. "This is federal," she said, voice tense. "Lillian's done. Kidnapping, attempted murder, bribing Ruiz." Jamal nodded, his shoulder and arm screaming, blood seeping through bandages. He sent the hangar and vault videos, plus Lillian's emails and training footage, to the FBI's Miami field office. By dawn, news broke. Apex CEO Lillian Mercer arrested in federal sting. Agents stormed her mansion, 8 miles from downtown, cuffing her as cameras rolled. The footage aired nationwide, Ruiz's taunts, Lillian's suffocation threat, sparking outrage. Apex's stock crashed 50%, protests swelling to 30,000, chanting "Jail Lillian." Social media flipped. Justice for Jamal trended with 10 million posts, burying Gas and cancel Jamal. Jamal watched from the motel, heart pounding. He'd exposed Lillian's core and it felt like triumph. The fallout was seismic. The FAA grounded all Apex flights, the Justice Department launching a full probe. Nexus Corps' board rallied, clients pausing their exodus, the stock stabilizing at a 15% loss. Malik, recovering with water and rest, hugged Jamal, his voice soft. "You're a hero, bro." Tasha's eyes gleamed with pride, Elena's article going viral. Apex's fall, how one man toppled a racist empire. Protesters flooded Miami's streets, demanding systemic reform. Jamal's deepfake was debunked, the editor traced to Lillian's PR firm, restoring his name. He imagined Lillian's cell, her platinum hair dulled, her empire ash. The public was his army, the FBI his blade. He'd won a war, or so he thought. But Lillian's counterstrike, even from jail, was vicious. At noon, Jamal's burner phone buzzed with an email from an anonymous source. "You're not safe." Attached were bank records, doctored to show Jamal laundering money through Nexus Corps, linked to a fake offshore account. A news alert followed. Jamal Kendrick faces money laundering probe. The records were false, planted by Vince Harlow, Lillian's snake, but they looked real. Social media stirred. Jamal fraud gained traction, 1 million posts questioning his integrity. Douglas and Claire Wentworth, the racist couple from Flight 392, filed a civil lawsuit, claiming emotional distress from Jamal's slanderous campaign. Their lawyer, a shark tied to Lillian's allies, demanded $10 million. Jamal's stomach sank, the motel's walls tightening. Lillian was caged, but her network was alive, striking from the shadows. The Wentworth's lawsuit hit the airwaves, their teary interviews replaying their Flight 392 lies. "We feared for our lives." News anchors debated Jamal's motives, some calling him a profiteer. Nexus Corps' stock dipped another 5%, clients renewing threats to bolt. Jamal's board emailed, urging a settlement to save the company. Tasha's voice was sharp. "Lillian's pulling strings from jail. Vince is her puppet." Elena dug into the bank records, finding inconsistencies, but the damage was done. Protesters wavered, a few peeling off, confused by that Jamal fraud. Jamal's lawyer called. "The feds are sniffing, but it's thin. Stay clean." Jamal's allies, Tasha, Elena, Malik, stood firm, but doubt crept in. Had he underestimated Lillian's reach? He paced the motel, rain blurring Miami's lights. The FBI's arrest was a victory, but Lillian's planted evidence and the Wentworth's lawsuit were a masterstroke, turning his triumph into quicksand. The deepfake, the hangar, the vault, her escalations never stopped, even behind bars. Malik's safety, Nexus Corps' future, his freedom hung by threads. He thought of the Wentworth smug faces, their wealth fueling Lillian's board. Vince's betrayal had taught her his moves. Now she used him to bury him in lies. Jamal's shoulder throbbed, blood staining his shirt, a reminder of her violence. He needed to disprove the records, expose Vince, but the feds were circling. His mother's voice echoed, "Fight smart." He'd rally, but the cost was mounting. Elena typed, tracing Vince's digital footprint. He's sloppy, she said. Left a trail to Lillian's PR firm. Tasha scoured Apex's old files, seeking proof of Lillian's jailhouse orders. Jamal's phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. Malik's safe, but cops are sniffing the condo. Ruiz, though suspended, still had allies, hunting him. The motel felt exposed. Lillian's network everywhere. Jamal's victory. Lillian's arrest. Apex's collapse was slipping, her counterattack sowing chaos. He needed a final blow, something to end her for good. The rain pounded, and Jamal braced for her next unseen strike. Jamal Kendrick sat in a motel room 15 miles east of Miami's glittering skyline, the rain's steady pulse a grim metronome against the neon-lit window. His shoulder stung from a bullet graze, his arm raw from a knife wound, both sustained in Lillian Mercer's relentless attacks. Apex Airlines' CEO was behind bars, arrested after Jamal's leaked footage. Vault suffocation, hangar ambush, racist training exposed her crimes. Apex's stock had plummeted 50%, protests raging. But Lillian's jailhouse counterstrike was ruthless. Fake bank records framing Jamal for money laundering, a $10 million lawsuit from Douglas and Claire Wentworth, the racist couple from Flight 392. Jamal fraud trended with 1 million posts. Nexus Corps' stock down 25%, his board teetering. Tasha Monroe and Elena Cruz flanked him, their faces etched with resolve. A whistleblower's email hinted at a larger network behind Lillian, but Jamal needed to clear his name and end Apex now, before her allies struck again. The motel's air was damp, the hum of a faulty heater barely warming the room. Jamal's burner phone glowed with Elena's latest find, Vince Harlow's digital trail, linking him to Lillian's PR firm and the deep fake. Vince planted the bank records, Elena said, her laptop open. If we tie him to Lillian on live TV, the feds will have to drop the charges. Tasha nodded, her eyes fierce. We've got the hangar footage, the vault video. Show the world Lillian's puppet. Jamal's pulse quickened. Malik, his brother, was safe 12 miles north, but Lillian's threat, one call and he's gone, lingered like poison. The Wentworth's lawsuit, claiming emotional distress, was a distraction, their wealth tied to Lillian's allies. Jamal had to act fast before the fraud probe and lawsuit buried him. He spent the morning strategizing, his wounds aching, but his mind sharp. Elena secured a live slot on Channel 7, prime time, to broadcast Vince's betrayal and Lillian's crimes. Jamal contacted Nexus Corps' board, demanding their support. "Back me or lose everything," he said, voice steel. Half agreed, swayed by Apex's collapse. The rest wavered, spooked by the fraud allegations. By noon, he stood in a studio 3 miles from downtown, the camera's red light glaring. "I'm Jamal Kendrick," he began, facing millions. "Lillian Mercer framed me, but here's the truth." He played the footage, Ruiz's taunts, Lillian's suffocation order, Vince's emails to the PR firm crafting the deepfake and bank records. "This is Apex's real face," he said, holding up the Wentworth's lawsuit. Their allies Douglas and Claire Wentworth lied to protect a racist empire. Social media erupted. Vince Exposed trended with 12 million posts, War Justice for Jamal surging back. The feds dropped the fraud probe, the Wentworth's lawsuit crumbling under scrutiny. Apex's stock hit zero, the company filing for bankruptcy. Jamal's heart soared. He'd cleared his name, crushed Apex, and it felt like victory. The broadcast's fallout was cataclysmic. Protests swelled to 40,000, Miami's streets a sea of signs. End Apex now. The FAA banned Apex's operations, the Justice Department raiding their offices 2 miles from the studio. Nexus Corps' stock stabilized at a 10% loss, clients returning, the board rallying. Malik texted, "You're unstoppable, bro." Elena's article, "The Man Who Broke Apex," went viral, her DOJ contact confirming Vince's arrest. The Wentworths fled Miami, their real estate empire tanking as partners cut ties, their socialite status ash. Jamal returned to the safe house, 15 miles away, Tasha's grin mirroring his own. "Lillian's done," she said. "You did it." Jamal nodded. The weight of weeks, knives, gunfire, betrayal, lifting. He'd dismantled Apex, restored his name, protected Malik. The motel felt like a throne room, his fight a legend. But Lillian's final counterstrike from her cell was a chilling revelation. At midnight, Jamal's burner phone pinged with an email from an anonymous whistleblower. Lillian was a pawn. The real power is bigger. Attached was a file, bank records, emails, meeting logs, detailing a national network of executives, funding discriminatory policies across industries, from airlines to tech. Lillian's Apex was one cog, her orders coming from a shadowy group tied to the Wentworth's wealth and beyond. The email ended. "They're coming for you." Jamal's blood ran cold, the motel's walls tightening. Social media stirred. Apex conspiracy gained traction, 500,000 posts speculating on a larger plot. Nexus Corps' board emailed, urging caution. But Jamal's allies, Tasha, Elena, Malik, stood firm. The Wentworth's flight from Miami, their empire's collapse, was a warning. The network was cutting loose ends. Jamal paced, the Reigns drone amplifying his dread. The broadcast had crushed Apex, but this network, faceless, vast, made Lillian seem small. The bank records showed payments to regulators, media firms, even Ruiz's bribes, all orchestrated by figures above Lillian. The Wentworth's lawsuit, their Flight 392 lies were their orders, their wealth a front. Jamal's shoulder throbbed, the graze a reminder of Lillian's violence, now dwarfed by this new threat. Elena dug into the file, her face pale. "This goes to DC, maybe higher," she said. "Senators, CEOs, think tanks." Tasha's voice was grim. "They'll hit harder than Lillian." Jamal nodded, his victory hollow. Apex's bankruptcy was a battle won, but the war was bigger, and he was the target. He sat, staring at the email's last line. "They're coming for you." The hangar ambush, the vault trap, the deep fake. Lillian's escalations were tests. This network's prelude, Malik's safety, Nexus Corps' future, his own life hung by threads. He thought of the Wentworth smug faces, their lies sparking this fight on Flight 392. Their downfall was sweet, but the network's shadow loomed larger. Jamal's lawyer called. "Feds are watching, but the records are clean. Stay low." Low wasn't an option. The network knew his moves, Vince their tool, Lillian their pawn. His mother's voice cut through. "Fight smart." He'd expose this network, but how? The motel's neon flickered, a beacon in the storm, and Jamal braced for the unseen enemy's strike. Jamal Kendrick stood on the tarmac of a private airfield 12 miles north of Miami's neon-charged skyline, the humid air thick with the scent of jet fuel. His shoulder, scarred from a bullet graze, ached faintly. The knife wound on his arm, now a pale line beneath his sleeve. Apex Airlines was dead, its stock obliterated after Jamal pulled $4 billion in Nexus Corps' software, forcing bankruptcy. Lillian Mercer, Apex's ruthless CEO, rotted in a federal cell, her empire exposed by Jamal's leaked footage, vault traps, hangar ambushes, racist training. But the whistleblower's revelation, a national network of executives funding discrimination, with Lillian as a pawn, cast a shadow over his victory. An anonymous email warned, "They're coming for you." Tasha Monroe, Elena Cruz, and his brother Malik stood by him, but the network's threat loomed, a storm gathering beyond the horizon. The airfield buzzed with activity, engineers and pilots, prepping a sleek aircraft emblazoned with Unity Air's logo, a blue arc symbolizing equity. Jamal had spent weeks building Unity Air, a revolutionary airline rooted in fairness, its hiring transparent, its policies blind to race. Today was its launch, the first flight set to take off in hours. Tasha, named COO, oversaw operations, her sharp eyes scanning manifests. Malik, now Unity's legal counsel, reviewed contracts, his law textbook swapped for real-world battles. Elena's documentary, The Fall of Apex, was finished, set to premiere at a festival, its trailer already viral with 2 million views. Jamal's Nexus Corps had stabilized, its stock down only 5%, clients returning after his name was cleared. The Wentworths, the racist couple from Flight 392, had fled Miami, their empire crumbling. But the network's shadow, its bank records, its ties to senators and CEOs, kept Jamal sleepless, his burner phone silent, but heavy with dread. He walked the tarmac, the sun blazing, inspecting Unity Air's first plane. Its cabin was designed for dignity, spacious, no priority checks, every seat equal. Protests had quieted, but their spirit fueled Unity's mission. Jamal's broadcast exposing Vince Harlow's betrayal had crushed Lillian's lies. Deepfake, money laundering, lawsuits, restoring public trust. The justice for Jamal trended with 15 million posts, drowning out Jamal fraud. The FAA had banned Apex permanently, the Justice Department probing its allies. Jamal's heart swelled as Tasha approached, clipboard in hand. "Tickets sold out. In 3 hours," she said, grinning. "We're booked for months." Malik joined them, his tie loose. "Contracts are tight. We're bulletproof." Jamal nodded, pride mixing with unease. Unity Air was his triumph, but the network's email, "They're coming for you," felt like a blade at his throat. By noon, the launch ceremony began. A crowd of 5,000 gathered under a massive tent. Journalists, activists, and passengers mingled, cameras flashing. Jamal took the stage, his voice steady through the microphone. "6 weeks ago, I was thrown off Apex Flight 392 for being black," he said, the crowd hushing. "Today, Unity Air rises from those ashes, a promise that no one will be judged by their skin." Applause roared, signs waving, "Fly Unity, fly free." He introduced Tasha as COO, her poise commanding respect, and Malik as counsel, his youth belying his grit. Elena's documentary trailer played on a screen, its images, Jamal's ejection, Lillian's arrest, igniting cheers. Unity Air's stock soared on its debut, analysts predicting a top-tier airline. Jamal stepped down, the crowd's energy, a balm to his wounds. He'd built something bigger than Apex, a legacy of justice. The first flight took off at dusk, its engines roaring as it climbed into a pink-streaked sky. Jamal watched from the tarmac, Malik and Tasha beside him. Passengers waved from the windows, a diverse mix, black, white, young, old, united by trust in Unity Air. Elena's documentary premiered that night, winning early acclaim, its festival slot drawing 1 million online viewers. News channels praised Unity Air's model, competitors scrambling to copy its equitable policies. Nexus Corps' board sent congratulations, their faith restored. Jamal's phone buzzed with texts from protest leaders. "You changed the game." He smiled, the weight of weeks, knives, gunfire, suffocation, easing. Apex was gone, Lillian caged, the Wentworths erased. Unity Air was his victory, a beacon in Miami's humid night. But the network's shadow struck at midnight. Jamal sat in Unity Air's temporary office 5 miles from the airfield, reviewing flight data. His burner phone rang, an unknown number. He answered, and a woman's voice, low and unfamiliar, cut through. "You took down Lillian, but I'm her mentor. This isn't over." The line went dead, leaving a text. "Watch your back." Jamal's blood ran cold, the office's fluorescent lights harsh. The whistleblower's file flashed in his mind. Bank records, emails, a network spanning industries, Lillian a mere cog. This woman, her mentor, was the real power, her voice dripping with authority. Social media stirred. Apex conspiracy hit 2 million posts, users speculating on a hidden cabal. Jamal's heart raced, the motel's warning. "They're coming. For you." Now a reality. He called Tasha and Elena, their faces grim as they joined him. "She's not bluffing," Tasha said, her voice tense. "Lillian was a front. This network's bigger. DC, Wall Street, maybe global." Elena opened her laptop, pulling the whistleblower's file. "Payments to senators, media firms, even foreign accounts," she said. "They funded Apex's racism, and Lillian was their test." Malik arrived, his law books under his arm. "We need the DOJ," he said. "This is racketeering, maybe treason." Jamal nodded, but dread gripped him. The network had let Lillian fall, cutting her loose like the Wentworths, their empire dust. Unity Air's launch was a triumph, but this mentor's call was a declaration of war, her reach dwarfing Lillian's knives and traps. Jamal paced the office, Miami's skyline a distant glow. The launch's euphoria, crowds cheering, planes soaring, felt fragile now. Nexus Core was stable, but the network could target it, planting more lies, more lawsuits. Malik's safety, Tasha's courage, Elena's grit, they were at risk again. He thought of Flight 392, Douglas Wentworth's smirk, the spark that ignited this fight. Apex's fall was his doing, but the network's shadow made it a skirmish in a larger battle. His mother's voice echoed, "Fight smart." He'd expose this mentor, but how? The DOJ needed evidence, and the network's files were cryptic, their players hidden. Jamal's wounds ached, reminders of Lillian's violence, now a prelude to a deadlier foe. He sat, staring at the phone, the mentor's voice replaying, "This isn't over." Unity Air's stock soared, but the network could crash it with a whisper. Protests had reshaped Miami, but the network's influence reached DC, maybe beyond. Elena's documentary was a weapon, but the mentor's allies could bury it. Jamal texted Marcus, "Triple Malik's security." Tasha scoured the file, seeking names, while Elena contacted her DOJ source. The office's hum was a war room, their fight reborn. Jamal's victory, Lillian's cell, Apex's grave, was incomplete, a stepping stone to a bigger war. He smiled, a spark of defiance. Unity Air was his shield, the public his sword. The mentor was coming, but Jamal Kendrick was ready, the tarmac's promise burning in his chest. The story of Jamal Kendrick's battle against Apex Airlines reveals profound lessons about confronting systemic racism with courage and strategy. First, resilience in the face of injustice is paramount. Jamal endured public humiliation, physical attacks and false accusations, deepfake videos, money laundering charges, and a suffocation trap, yet never wavered. His ability to fight smart, as his mother taught, shows that perseverance, paired with calculated moves, can topple even the most entrenched powers. Second, the power of truth is unstoppable. Jamal's leaked footage, Lillian Mercer's racist training, Carla Ruiz's confessions, ignited protests and forced accountability, proving that evidence, wielded wisely, can shift narratives and dismantle lies. Third, community matters. Tasha Monroe's loyalty, Elena Cruz's journalism, and Malik's trust formed a backbone that sustained Jamal through betrayals like Vince Harlow's. Their collective strength underscores that no one fights alone. Allies amplify impact. Finally, victory is never final. Apex's bankruptcy and Lillian's arrest were triumphs, but the shadowy network's emergence, a national cabal funding discrimination, reveals that systemic change requires vigilance. Jamal's launch of Unity Air, a beacon of equity, is a step, but the mentor's chilling call signals a larger war. This story teaches us to stand firm, speak truth, build alliances, and brace for the long fight, knowing each battle reshapes the world. What price would you pay to fight injustice in your own life? Comment below, hit like, subscribe, and share to join the movement for justice. Thank you for standing with Jamal's story. We wish you the strength to rise against all odds.